Prestige League here. It is a qualifying day here for the GPL250. It is the first time we are running this event. It's a bit of a shorter version of our SF500 that we ran earlier on in the year. This time it's a different track, shorter duration, and also it is in a different car. So we're gonna have to go ahead and get things underway. It's, just a reminder, today is strictly just a qualifying day. So there won't be a race today. The race will be starting tomorrow at the exact same time. So it's gonna be a fun one here today, and can't wait to really see how this one goes. Once again, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus. I'll be your host and commentator for this qualifying session here. It's going to be about a 20-minute qualifying session just to see where everybody stands. So, we currently have 5 drivers actively here. I think we actually will have a potential, we might have some more potentially, but alright, and actually, we actually have the return of one B23 into the commentary booth. We're going to go ahead, you guys will see a bit of a blue screen at the moment, as we're actually going to go ahead and get B23 in here as well. So B23 will be returning to the commentary booth this time around. And so here we go. We're going to go ahead and get him in. And this event was his brainchild, so he can definitely tell us a lot more about it. But we'll go ahead and just tell you what I know so far. So it's pretty simple. We're going to actually jump straight to the track now. So we are running the F3500 machine, which is a very, very snappy machine. The thing will pretty much, it will try to spin you out at every given opportunity. So you really got to be on the nose, and you got to be really careful with this one. And the man who put this whole event together, B23, is in the booth. How you doing today, mate?
Hello, it is good to be here. Been up since 6 a.m. because I'm an American who likes Formula One, and what a boring sprint race it was, but I'm sure that this quali session is going to be much more exciting.
Indeed, and actually it goes either way. Our GPL250 qualifying and the actual F1 qualifying happening today. But yeah, I know Monza is an absolute favorite track of yours here, B23. But is there any particular reason why this car was chosen as opposed to the regular SF23?
Well, definitely wanted something other than the SF23 since we're going to do the main season in that, and since we just did a whole LMP series and other stuff like that, some people branch off into GT3 leagues and other stuff in the meantime. So I figured this is kind of like an intermediary to get you in between, back towards the direction of Formula racing. Has a ton of downforce, but this downforce is way less efficient than the modern cars we use, so it'll be cool to see how these guys can adapt. It'll definitely require a lot of skill from the drivers in order to tame these cars around these big curbs at Monza.
Indeed, yeah, it's a simpler time and single-seater motorsports with these cars here, so they have less downforce. They're very tricky. Even if you max out your traction control from testing I've done, this thing will still snap at you with like max downforce and soft tires. So this thing is definitely a handful to drive. We currently have 5 drivers in the session. We are missing 2 more for our qualifying here. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and just run you through a list of who we got here. The recent signing of May JP from High Caliber Racing will be going ahead and jumping in. I think he'll be one of the few High Caliber Racing representatives, if not the sole representative here today, running that number 13 HCR car. And then the LFO driver, Tall Man, who has a pretty decent results here. He's also been competing in a NASCAR championship. And also he has recently, from what I've heard, also joined a DTM style championship as well. So a very busy man from the LFO team. And then we have the return of Ducadono, who made his return at the last LMP Masters round, running that very, very awesome, kind of like Mercedes style Red Bull Adidas livery. And then we have Kemmejer running his Hololive livery as per usual, this time with the VTuber known as Maury Calope from Hololive English Gen 1.
Nice, you got that. Good job.
Yeah, he gave me a brief ahead of time. So, yeah, it's actually really neat that he puts that much effort into his cars where they actually sort of like a character, kind of like how Sebastian Vettel used to name all of his F1 cars back in the day. And then, of course, we have the SF500 winner and championship runner-up for the LMP Master Series and the Super Formula Season 6 Illusion. And he is currently vibing in the pits. We're waiting on Rogue and Pixel from what I have heard, so we're just waiting for those two. Okay, and then we'll jump right into this 20-minute session.
Rogue will not be joining this session. I'm not sure about Pixel, but for sure Rogue will be missing it. So we can I'll let Illusion know here in the chat.
All right, well, either way, we are going to go ahead and start soon for the inaugural qualifying of the Grand Prestige League GPL250. The first time we're running this event. Maybe it'll become a yearly event like our SF2 or SF500. We'll just have to see. We'll see what the future holds, but this will be our last event before we get the regular season underway. Spec 3 coming out I think next week, like sometime, I think it's the 4th of next week. So that's going to be a fun one. Going to give us time to go ahead and get some testing in. And then we're going to go ahead and jump straight in. Now, as we're about to go and start this quality session here, B23, I got to ask, out of the two new confirmed tracks, which one do you prefer?
Well, so since I've never actually played any of the officially licensed F1 games, these are two tracks that I've actually never driven on. I have no experience with them other than watching Formula One drive on them. Both of these tracks look good, but I'm most excited about Canada. I've seen some great races there in F1, and I'm looking forward to the Wall of Champions, seeing how close I can get to it.
I would have to agree. I like that track a lot too. It's a fun one. It's very tricky. It's very narrow. You got to really pick your moment when it comes to overtaking opportunities. Here, on the other hand, at Monza, it's a different ball game. Overtaking opportunities are aplenty because you have so many good straights. I mean, you got to run from the exit of Parabolica all the way to the Prima Variante as MayJP takes a bit of avoiding action there as these drivers try to get these tires warmed up and ready to go here. And our 5 drivers here qualifying in this session. There will be more in the race. Some of them just unfortunately could not make qualifying here today. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But yeah, this track does have a lot of really good overtaking opportunities. It's a proper high-speed track. A track that's been around since the 1950s. And funny enough, its early variation actually had an oval that you would actually race on. So the original iteration of this track was very interesting. But going to the first lap now with Illusion. And Tall Man is indeed off. Had a bit of a moment there in his outlap, but now we got Illusion now making his way through Prima Variante, getting a bit deep going into the chicane, but that chicane can really make or break your lap here, B23.
Absolutely. That is one of the places on the track where you're going to either gain or lose the very most time in that single corner. And as he does get a little wobbly and a track limit there, so that's going to be lap essentially over. We'll see if he just carries on and uses this as another setup lap for the next one. But yeah, the Temple of Speed is not for the faint of heart, and it is a proper high-speed track, as you say, and that is one of the reasons why I think it's a good combination for these cars, because this is a proper high-speed car too. With these engines on the straights, you can easily reach well over 200 miles an hour, and you can get there a lot faster than a car feels like it should be able to. It feels scary being in it, even though you're just on a sim. You really feel the raw power from this car, and it is intimidating. And I expect to see a lot of these guys struggling with this car today.
And yeah, we've seen a little bit of it already, because I mean, this is a... You say Monza isn't for the faint of heart. This car in general is not for the faint of heart. I mean, it's very loose, right? It's a very snappy car, very powerful. It's got around 800 horsepower, screaming V12, and all the modern comforts of traction control, ABS. While you can apply them in Gran Turismo on the real car, these things were pretty much meant to be absolute missiles. So they save a lot of weight. They're short, they're narrow, they're nimble, and they're a lot of fun to drive, but they're also very, very scary to drive. Lujan setting the fastest time of the session here so far with a 1:25.898. MayJP about 2/10 behind, and then a further half a second behind is Kemajur. Darkadono 1.2 seconds off the time, and the LFO driver of Tallman has yet to set a lap, and he's going to go ahead and try to give it a go this time around. He actually did set a lap time, but I think that was the lap he spun out on, so we'll see how these drivers all go. And remember, qualifying is one thing, but the actual race tomorrow is going to be a doozy.
Absolutely, and we are expecting to see at least a few more drivers on the grid tomorrow as well, and some fast ones at that could be competing for the win. You got people like Pixel and potentially Whiplash, and I think I might have even heard that Boita might be joining. So all those guys are elite level drivers as well. In this quali session, though, so far, no surprise to see Illusion up at the top. Well, I stand corrected as Kemazur just set the fastest time. That's an unexpected name to see at the top of the list with Illusion on the grid. We'll see how long he can maintain provisional pole position. But given this grid of drivers, I'm fully expecting Illusion to come away with the pole position here.
I mean, we have been surprised before. Stallman gets a little snappy coming through the Parabolica. He's going to go ahead and come across the line now. Where's his lap time going to stand? He will improve his time, but not his position. He will remain in P5 at the moment. Illusion is going to go ahead and begin another lap, so we'll actually ride on board so you guys can just kind of get a feel for how this car just, or kind of the view these drivers are getting from the cockpit going over the sausage curbs. Now, the sausage curbs can really unsettle a lot of cars. I mean, you can take your mom's minivan and drive it over those sausage curbs, and there's still a very good chance that that thing is going to have some massive unsettlement there, as we're seeing Illusion. Illusion is already like setting a purple sector in Sector 1, going over the sausage curbs. Now he's making his way into the Lesmos here. He's currently
nearly
about
half a second up on just the first sector alone there.
Yeah, so Illusion is already giving it his all here, trying to go ahead and get that pole position. I mean, he will be the first driver ever to win both the GPL 250 and the SF 500 if he does come away with a win here. But once again, this is only qualifying. But man, I mean, we would be remiss to not mention that Illusion's lap times right now are absolutely staggering.
Absolutely. I would expect, honestly, nobody to be with... Oh, and he gets a little loose there at Parabolica, the final corner of the track, the last thing you want to see. Now, we know that Illusion has the pace for pole position here, but it's about execution more than actually just being able to extract the pace, because we know he can extract that pace out of any car. But can he put the lap all together? This is a difficult car to do that with. As we're seeing now, sometimes it might just be about getting it across the line first and then letting it sort itself out from there.
Indeed, yeah, and this is a driver who we know he's got the pace. He took pole position in the SF 500. He won the SF 500. He is a multiple-time race winner in GPL. He's also a champion. He's won the Super Formula Championship in prior seasons. So we know he is a very rapid driver, but in recent times, it just hasn't really been his cup of tea. I mean, he got second place in that championship, but he really did not get along well with the LMP1 cars from our community series a few months ago. But and it looks like he might have a bit of a tough time with this car as well. But once again, I mean, it's a very hard car to drive. It's very snappy, and I mean, I think everybody is gonna struggle with this car.
Yeah,
AJP,
precisely.
using the F1 sim racing line, he'll jump Lucian, jump into P2, but still half a second away from that rapid time that Kemmerer set earlier on.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no disrespect to these drivers because we know they're all excellent. We've seen them plenty of great amounts of talent, but the struggle is built into this car. It's almost impossible not to struggle, even if you're on top of this car, like we've seen with the likes of Whiteout and DRL when they had a full season in these machines. It's just a nearly impossible car to fully tame. You really have to understand the car enough to give it that little bit of margin. Because if you're actually all the way on the edge, like you can bring a Super Formula car to the edge more comfortably, you can't really do that with these cars. It's a good way to catch yourself out. Just like that, right on cue is Illusion in the Lesmos there. Gets into the wall, and he has front wing damage. I do believe it is light mechanical damage, so that will clear up here in about 30 seconds or so. He should have enough time for another push lap at this rate. I actually don't know how much time is left on the... Oh, we still got a whole 10 minutes, so a whole regular quali session's worth of time is left. That does advantage Illusion quite a bit with that much time remaining.
Indeed, we just watched a brief little replay of the incident there. And, I mean, yeah, this car is arguably probably one of the hardest cars to drive in the game, I would argue. If it's not the hardest car, it's one of them. It's
Absolutely.
A very snappy car. I would honestly say probably the most difficult single-seater at minimum. Because even though the Red Bull X2019 is also pretty twitchy, you can usually get grips with that car pretty quickly, but it is a very, very tricky car to drive, but it still has a lot of downforce. This car is tricky, powerful, and hardly any downforce compared to the Super Formula or even the F1500 that is also in the game, because I believe that one still actually uses a little bit of ground effect, if I'm not mistaken. So even that car is pretty easy to drive compared to this one. They're all really fun cars, don't misunderstand me. But, like we've said, it is not for the faint of heart, and you really gotta, you just gotta practice with this car. That's pretty much all it boils down to. You gotta put time and effort into this car to get the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things about it too is that those other cars, like the Red Bull cars, the Super Formula, they're really difficult to drive, but at least the aerodynamics of it is so efficient that it remains predictable through most corner types. Whereas this car, it does have a lot of downforce, but only if you load the car up with downforce. And as soon as you go into a corner or your braking technique might not be exactly right for this type of car, you can dissipate all of that downforce so quickly. And unless you are really, really well acclimated to the characteristics of this car, you're going to expect a lot more downforce than you have at certain points of the track. And then the understeer is just massive, and then you might get on the throttle a little too quickly. The power delivery is instant, so then you got the mechanical grip snapping the car left and right as you're understeering, and then you get the snap, and then you have to compensate for that. It is a mess to drive unless you are extremely smooth and understand exactly how to load the car up with aerodynamic load.
And actually, we just saw a replay of Tallman, and now we just saw Kemmerer spinning out. Yeah, I mean, like you said, this car absolutely takes no prisoners. And I mean, you pretty much driving on the edge on this thing is tricky. I mean, even champions like Lucian are struggling through the Lesmos in this car. They're absolutely just trying to fight it, but ultimately it's just super difficult to drive this car. And I mean, kudos to these drivers for giving it a go anyway. But yeah, like we're saying, this car, I mean, this is probably like the best track for this car, I would imagine. I mean, there's some other tracks that I think this car would be fun at, like Spa would be a fun track for the car.
Yeah.
Dragon Trail. but it is really easy to get this car unsettled and to get this car just pretty much facing in the wrong direction, as we've seen every single driver in this session spin out at some point. So we've seen Lusion, we've seen Chemiser, we've seen MayJP, Ducadono, Tallman, and we're probably going to see more drivers just absolutely lose the car come race day tomorrow. Because, I mean, it's like, especially through the Lesmos, I've been noticing that the Lesmos are like the tricky part of the track, where these cars really just tend to struggle the most. And we're going to watch Chemiser now. He's currently 2.6 tenths down on his personal best time, just about 2 seconds away from
and here
Lusion.
They are, those Lesmos.
And here we go, coming through Lesmo 1. If you touch the gravel, then you're pretty much already heading for a massive spin. He does manage it, but I mean, it is. That's where
yeah,
we see
but you
most
saw
of the
how much he had
accidents.
to slow in order to make the corner smoothly there.
Exactly.
That's the hard part. In order to get the rotation you need, you really have to slow the car there. And look, he's losing himself time doing it too. It's a really hard thing to try to compromise there, because if he really pushes it, good chance you're either snapping out of control or you're ending up out off in the gravel somewhere understeered into the shadow realm.
And sometimes even a bit of both as well, because you touch the gravel and that can cause your car to snap. I mean,
oh yeah,
touching grass and, you know, becoming one with nature is a very good thing. Just not with a slick set of tires, because that is going to end up very badly here as we watch MayJP make his way through the Lesmos. We'll see if he has any issues with them. He's going to go a bit wide to get onto the rumble strip just a bit, but ultimately he does keep their car facing in the right direction.
Yeah, and I do think that a couple corners like Curva Grande and Parabolica in particular really suit this car a lot, because you can go fast enough through those corners that you can achieve enough aerodynamic load on the car to get that top end cornering, like its maximum potential of rotation. And that's one of the scariest parts about this car, is in order to actually rotate it, you have to go faster, not slower. But you can very easily go too fast, as we've seen Illusion do many times through there, but he does it perfectly right on the line.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely difficult to navigate. This car, once again, I mean, this is probably, even though it's like mechanically one of the least complicated, probably in terms of driving, it's probably one of the most complicated, honestly, because you got so many things that you have to kind of account for. You got to account for you got to keep that right speed, like you're talking about coming through the corners. You can't over-rotate, you can't under-rotate. If you go too slow, you're going to under-rotate the car, and then you're going to potentially end up in the gravel. But if you hook it up all together, you'll get a beautiful provisional pole lap like we've seen there from Lusion. I wonder which, I mean, it's likely going to be Lusion, but I mean, I think this rest of this field does have some pretty strong potential here. I mean, I know we've talked about here on the channel about MayJP, how he's probably one of the top rookies, if not the top rookie coming into the next season. He has a lot of fanfare around him, signed to High Caliber Racing, which is a pretty good team, a team that is almost has a similar legacy to Exo Motorsports here in GPL. So it'll be interesting. We got new teams joining as well. I know LFO is a team that is joining in. They currently have 2 drivers, potentially more joining in, but I know Tallman and F16 will be joining this brand new team, and they'll be making their debut with the American team. So we'll just kind of have to see how these guys do. But it'll be interesting, because I mean, I know you remember, and you probably remember better than you'd like to here, B23, but some of these new teams can be really, really tough to go against. I mean, you and your teammate CBD racing against the Kaizen Motorsports group last season in SWT, it was really fun to watch. But yeah, these new teams, you definitely can't take them lightly.
No, definitely not, especially with a game as popular and just big as this, where there's so many different little private leagues and pockets of communities going on, where there's immense amount of skill just hiding in the corners that we may not know about in our little pocket of the Gran Turismo community. But some of these teams are very well organized, very strong. They have the drivers, they have the methods behind them. When they join, they're going to be competitive straight away, and oftentimes new teams are the most competitive ones in the league when they join. But of course you also have your established legacy teams that are always up there as well in the mix, especially in WEC. You got the Aston Martins, the Toyotas, and the Acuras, which should be returning this season too, which is news to our audience. Whiteout should be returning to GPL with the Acura team, along with King as his teammate, and that's going to be one of the most competitive, if not potentially a championship winning lineup right there.
Indeed, a very well-known name if you've been around here for a while. A very dominant team in the early stages of GPL. It'll be interesting because there's a lot of teams that I think are going to be pretty competitive. There's also a lot of rumors of other new teams joining in as well. I know just some of the rumors I've heard. Nine Pegasus Panthera was considering entering, and a team called Hellas Racing also might be considered, or might be considering entering. And there's even a chance, because of the unique structure of the LFO team as Lucia goes around and around with a minute to go in the session. But back to the LFO team. The interesting thing about the LFO team is that it really is a kind of a developmental team, really, that can be pretty much picked up by any organization out there. That's one of the unique things about this LFO squadron that separates it from the rest of the field. And I think this LFO team does have some pretty decent potential. Tallman is... Oh, and that's an unfortunate time to say that as Tallman goes around and around, coming through a scar. But Tallman has been making some steady improvements. And, I mean, we've seen F16 actually get a podium on his second ever race in this series. So, I mean, F16, also known as ASJ, is going to be another top prospect to watch here in this series. I mean, he'll probably be right up there with May JP as we're on the final lap here of the session.
Yeah, definitely. The LFO team is one of the teams that I am pretty excited to see just kind of where they stack up. And it's really nice to have a team like that in these leagues, because it gives people a chance to make sure they have a seat secured, who have a chance to develop without a whole lot of pressure, without a lot of expectations from the team's prior history in this league. And yeah, it really gives them a chance to develop in a competitive environment with real-time racing experience against highly competitive drivers. That's really what sharpens you up, is the competition you're against. And so for the likes of Tallman to be a part of this league and stuff, I've been spending some time with those guys too recently while they've been designing cars, May JP, ASJ, and Tallman, and they are good dudes, so I'm glad to see them in the league, and I think they will do a solid job this season in their debuts.
Indeed, yeah, and other information I've been privy to is they recently also just got their first sponsor, so it'll be interesting to see how these guys work with that. But that is going to be the qualifying session wrapped up, done and dusted here for the GPL 250. We have our top 5 here today, and then we have some more drivers who will be joining in tomorrow's session. But the qualifying this qualifying session is done and dusted.
Yeah, and it took itself a minute to sort itself out properly, but this is about the order that you would expect to see. Kemizura actually a bit faster than we would expect, beating out Ducky Dono, who usually we would expect to be the pacier driver in most circumstances. So good performance from Kemizura, but this is roughly the order we'd expect to see. And the gap to pole position is about the gap I was expecting as well, just under 2 seconds at 1.7. with Illusion basically competing with himself, just beating his own purple lap time and time again there throughout the session after about the 10-minute mark, where he started getting the feel for the track and putting those laps together.
Indeed, B23. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here. We're going to go through our quality results here. It is Illusion taking pole position for the first ever GPL 250 with a time of a 1:23.227, followed by May JP, Chemiser, Darkadono, and Tallman rounding things out here. So that's going to be it for us here at the Grand Prestige League, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. But before we go, B23, anything you want to say?
Yes, make sure same time, same place. You're going to want to subscribe here right now so that you don't miss that on YouTube. And make sure to follow us at Grand Prestige League on Instagram as well. We'll be giving you guys updates on this as well as updates for details on the upcoming Season 7 for our Super Formula Series, our feature series of the league. And so looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow at the same time here.
Indeed, and also one more thing I do want to say, I want to give a special thank you to our league partner of W.GG. Use promo code GPL at their website to get a nice 10% discount, and you can support the league so we can do some really neat stuff here in the coming months. But on behalf of B23 and the Grand Prestige League, my name has been Patrick Coleman, aka Rekus, and we have been your hosts and commentators for this qualifying session here. Tune in tomorrow as we tackle about 44 laps around the Temple of Speed here in Monza for the first ever GPL 250. Have a good night.